What's up, everyone? Welcome to the RotoGrinders NFL pre-lock show. It is the playoffs. We are here. It is wild card weekend. I'm your host, TJ Zwarych, and joining me today, one of the sharpest minds in the biz, possibly the youngest two-man crew in the history of RotoGrinders. We have Jordan Vanek joining me today. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Ready for my Carolina Panthers to shock the world. I think we're 11-point underdogs or 10.5 now or whatever it is. Just know that we are probably one of the bigger underdogs, but I've seen plenty of teams under 500 go ahead and upset some people on wildcard weekend. Oh, you're muted.
I hope that's not the case. I hope you guys don't take a win tonight, because I've built about 30 lineups, and we'll get into our overviews. We'll get into our thoughts. But I am going heavy on the Rams tonight. And so I'm hoping that your Super Bowl choice of the Rams get through. And unfortunately, I'm hoping that your team doesn't make it through, because if they do, that probably means my Stafford, Kyron, Corum, Adams, Puka, Parkinson, Higbee teams, where I'm just loading up on the entirety of the Rams, might not go well. But alas, we got two games, not just the one of them today. If you do have questions for Showdown or for the 6-game slate, let us know. No problem at all. We will absolutely cover them. But as kind of like our breakdown, we will just do the 2-game slates. Will and I will be back tomorrow doing the pre-lock for tomorrow's slate of games, and then we will have, I'm sure, a Monday show for the Showdown slate as well. But for now, we will go through today's little 2-gamer on both FanDuel and DraftKings. And I have never, I think, seen projected ownership as high as Puka Nacua today. Like, we've seen some really close ones up at pushing 90% with the McCaffreys and the JSNs on the 2-game slate we got last week. But Puka projecting for like 95 to 99% ownership, depending on where you look. You can't spend all the salary if you don't play him. Oh, we'll get there. First off, give me your overview on today's slate and lead us into some QBs.
Yeah, I think on 2-gamers, it's a lot of fun to get as contrarian as you can, because like there's so many easy paths to do it. Defense, you pretty much have to play a defense with somebody on your team. And I think playing a Stafford stack with the Panthers defense is a viable strategy on this 2-game slate, because I think we saw it in the last game. Like, Stafford could have had more touchdowns, and I think he only had like 15 points in total, but he also fumbled and threw 2 picks, one of them being a pick 6, fumble return for a big point. Like, that could happen again, but the Rams actually just finished the job because it was a 1-score game going in that fourth. You have Puka Nacua. I mean, he deserves every bit of 96, 97% owned. It's understandable that it's almost impossible to not play the guy that, I think he's the only player projected over 20 across most sites. It does open up the opportunity, though, that like he doesn't get there, and it's plausible that Chicago Bears offense is very high potent passing game. I think if you're not playing a Puka Nacua, you got to play Devontae Adams, at least one of Blake Corum or Kyron, and even considering the Rams defense steals a touchdown as well, because it feels like Puka's floor without injury is probably 17 DFS points, and that's probably getting there for most of these slates, and especially the 2-gamers as well. But he averages over 5 yards per route run against cover 3. Panthers lead the NFL, or one of the top teams in the NFL. And the difference between cover 3 for the Panthers versus other teams is we disguise it really well. Sometimes our corners bail. Sometimes they stay in the flat. Safeties rotate a lot. And that's what Stafford's bad at. That's actually an area of the field that Stafford struggles with, because Sean McVay built the offense for, hey, this is what you're doing. And sometimes what you're doing can lead to some interceptions. And I think the Puka Nacua first pick 6 was, McVay said that play call was on him. He tried to tell Stafford to throw a quick out, and the corner just stayed in the flat, and Mike Jackson jumped it, just similar to what we saw in Oregon, Indiana last day in the first play of the game. Stare down and out and pick 6.
I remember stacking up the Rams in that game, and I was just so upset that they were getting to the red zone every single possession. I was like, it's going to be a good day and turnover, and it's going to be a good day and turnover. And they still ended up putting up some okay scores, and it ended up being like a min cash day. But I was just watching that so pissed off as I have my double stack Stafford with Puka and Adams. We're getting to the red zone every time, doing absolutely nothing. I'm with you. I think Stafford is my number 1 today, but if I don't hate the idea of like if I am going to do a Puka list team, doing it with Jordan Love or Caleb Williams, probably Caleb Williams, because I feel like he could do that on the ground. Or, maybe you just build a lineup with Stafford and all the other Rams, and you just kind of hope that Puka doesn't finish the game. But I'm going to be on the loading up on my Rams onslaught team. So I'm building one right now that's not going to have him. And I'm looking at the last spot. There's $8,700 remaining, a perfect amount to just put Puka Nacua in. But I'm not going to do it. And I'm going to make the one team without him. And that team is going to have Kenrich Williams, too much NBA last night. Kyron Williams with Blake Corum and Devontae Adams. So that way, even if everybody else scores for those Rams, then maybe at least he wouldn't have to get hurt. And I don't have to wish for such terrible things. But I'm not wishing for that anyways, because I'm playing so many Rams onslaughts. The ones that I'm not playing Rams onslaughts, I do have a couple Panther stacks today. I got a couple Panther stacks where I am still loading up on all the Rams, but doing it with Bryce Young, Ted McMillan, Jalen Coker.
Yeah, Xavier Legette is completely taking the backseat. I mean, he ran as few routes as Jimmy Horn in a do-or-die game. Jimmy Horn is someone I liked a lot for the Tampa Bay game, and we tried to take deep shots to him. Bryce didn't have time to do so. And this game, like, Robert Hunt's coming back, but this Rams pass rush is phenomenal. And I don't think we're going to play much 3 wide receivers. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of Xavier Legette or Jimmy or Horn in this game.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. It just feels very concentrated, and I don't mind the idea of, if I am going off of Stafford, attacking it with that. Because as crazy as high as Puka's ownership is, Stafford's actually isn't that ridiculous. Like, I kind of thought it might be coming in over 50% today. But then I do like the idea of, if we are going to get a single-digit Bryce Young on a 2-game slate, he is objectively the least attractive fantasy play on the slate.
Yeah.
But if he's going to be single-digit ownership, I don't really care. It's a 2-game slate. Anything can happen. Let's make the swap over to, or I guess let's talk still quarterback, but on FanDuel. Any differences for your thoughts over there? Or are you kind of feeling the same thing where I feel like the pricing discrepancy isn't that strong, and so it's kind of just Stafford tier 1, Love and Williams 2, Bryce Young tier 3, same thing.
Yeah, I feel the same way over on FanDuel. It's just with Bryce in particular, I like the fact that Bryce and Caleb have shown mobility in their careers. Like, I think Jordan Love is got to be the most attractive because of the matchup, and the Bears secondary is not very good. But I look at him and I'm like, he's just not going to give you any rushing. And like, Stafford obviously has the premier weapons here, and Jordan Love hasn't played in a few games. And like, how healthy is he? If he was super healthy, why were they always going to, like, Malik Willis was playing through a bunch of injuries while Jordan Love was just hanging out. I wonder how, effective he's going to be. And also playing a team for the 3rd time, divisional rival like this, and Chicago, I believe the recent weather was like, it's windy. It's, normal Chicago weather in terms of that regard. I don't think it's the snow or anything like that from Roth at all, but I think there's some possible flurries or a few things. But Carolina, it's going to be rainy. It's been on and off storms from everything I've gathered through Panthers people that are there on Twitter that I follow, plus what Roth has been talking about, where there's on and off showers, which could impact the game a little bit from like a fumble perspective, some drop passes. But even in the first game, it was a little bit, I think, rainy, and Carolina just played through the rain, and Ted McMillan should have had over 100 yards. That OPI call is still bugging me.
We were talking about it pre-show, talking about it on the show. My man is haunted. Absolutely haunted by that one.
I can't believe.
I can't say I blame you. I'm still haunted by the lack of DPI call on the Saints-Rams playoff game from like, what was that, 6 years ago now, where it was Breeze's like last chance, maybe 7 years ago, Breeze's last chance to get to the Super Bowl. And it was just, not only was it a pass interference, but it was also a helmet to helmet. It was unnecessary roughness. It was like, it was everything. And so all of a sudden they called nothing. I'm still haunted by that one. We do have a Roth video where he is breaking down the weather in today's 2-game slate coming very shortly. It was having trouble uploading it. I had to switch it to a different video source. So it's coming very soon, but it is just finishing the final touches of uploading here into StreamYard. And there we go. So we will get Roth's thought here on the weather for today's 2-game slate.
Hey, what's up, Grinders? Meteorologist Kevin Roth here, stepping out from a kid's birthday party to give you the very latest update, and I think it looks pretty good. That's the update. You got a little bit of rain in Carolina, some sprinkles, some showers. It's not a washout, and it's more dry than wet. But sure, a little bit of rain, minimal impacts. Hitting the wave. I do think that the cold in the Chicago game is noteworthy. Temperature around 32 degrees, winds blowing 15 miles per hour, gusting close to 30 miles per hour. Again, yes, there's an impact, but it's not a high impact game. I think everything is going to be pretty good in both spots. Certainly not perfect, but good enough. So I wouldn't make any fantasy bets over it, any sports bets, any fantasy adjustments. I think things look pretty good. All right. Good luck to you. Bye.
There we go. Shout out to our guy Roth for getting that done for us. And there you have it. Nothing really we got to switch things up about. Maybe that second game is a little uglier because of how cold it is. And those wind gusts, when it's already 32 degrees and then you get those wind gusts, I can, say as someone who lives in a cold and windy place, cold is fine and so manageable when it's not windy. When it's windy, God, does it get terrible. It gets so cold. I mean, they're pros. They got heaters on the field. They're going to handle it. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal, though. Are you going to plan on making any adjustments with that?
No, because I've been more into the Stafford side of things, the rain and stuff. I'm hoping they catch the ball. That is always a fear when a wet football gets thrown your way. But in that game, Caleb Williams, the wind doesn't matter. The dude has an absolute rocket of an arm. It's like when Josh Allen plays in these types of games. I think that Josh Allen played Mac Jones 3 or 4 years ago in a game where the Patriots went and attempted 3 passes in the entire game and won, while Josh Allen was just throwing the ball 30 times. That was different impact weather, but there's certain guys that wind and temperatures like that don't really matter, and Caleb Williams is one of them.
Good points there. Let's transition over to the running back position, where I feel like Josh Jacobs is the clear number one option today. And after that, it's pretty wide open. We have Swift and Monangai, who one of them is probably going to have a good game. We have Kyron and Corum, who one of them probably going to have a good game. Chuba and Dowdle, one of them might, but again, it's another split. Josh Jacobs is the one where we can feel pretty confident that he's had some quotes that, he's the healthiest he's felt in weeks, which could be BSing, who knows, but he did say it. And so Jacobs is the one that we can feel pretty confident with the workload, with the goal line production. Everybody else is pretty evenly split. How are you handling Jacobs? And then who would be your next favorite options?
I like to play duos on 2-game slates. And the reason that I like it is because these particular duos like Kyron and Blake Corum, if the Rams are operating with a lead, you have Devontae Adams' first game back from a hamstring injury. You have Puka Nacua, who is just naturally not been the healthiest throughout his career. You have a Carolina Panthers offense. If they're not showing you they're going to do too much, both of them will get enough touches on this type of slate to pay off. Same thing with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai. And honestly, same thing with Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard. I know it's an uncomfortable way to play this slate, but it's one of my favorite ways to play the Ram stacks in getting Stafford to be pushed. And if you look back to the Rams-Panthers in the first matchup, we threw the ball 20 times. We ran it 35 times, and we were down in the game early on. Our mentality in that game was just pounding the rock and just trying to dominate the line of scrimmage. We're getting Robert Hunt back, who's an all-pro level guard that's going to make a huge impact to the offensive line. The Rams, on the other side, they're missing Kevin Dotson, who's been a phenomenal guard for them. So it's kind of like there's a chance that maybe we sneak away a fumble on Stafford or somebody early in the game. Panthers get ahead, and you see Rico and Chuba get 15 to 18 touches, which is what they did in that first game. And on this type of slate, both of that could pay off. Obviously, Jacobs is the clear-cut one of the slate, but, ownership is showing that he's the clear-cut one of the slate. The biggest concern with him is his knee and how healthy and he's been. I mean, he's been banged up since, I think, that Giants game in November, and he's had good games, and then he's had some games where it's like, wait a minute, is he actually fully healthy? Because this doesn't look like the same type of dude.
Very good point. I do think we see the healthy Jacobs in this one, but I don't know. It's one of those things, like you said, it's a 2-game slate. Anything can happen, and I do like doing the pairing thing as well on a 2-game slate, because it's like you said, if a team gets out ahead, all of these teams could just try and bleed it out with the run game. The Rams are the least likely to, but if Panthers get ahead, it'll be a heavy dose of Dowdle and Hubbard. If the Bears get ahead, it'll be a heavy dose of Swift and Monangai. And so I do really like the idea of building into that as well. Let's switch over to the wide receiver position where, like we said, Puka's going to be, as we see, 75% projected here on FanDuel. If we switch to DraftKings, that's when it really gets crazy, because Puka Nacua on the 2-game slate in the RotoGrinders projections, 95%. In the Blitz projections, 99%. It's going to be very, very... It's going to be the highest owned player we have seen on any slate all season. Even in a showdown, there's never been a player that highly owned. How many lineups do you think you'd have to play before you don't play Puka in one?
I would probably have to get past 20, 25. That's when I'd start all right, maybe we just have one where Bears Packers is the shootout. And I play the Monangai and Swift, and the Bears rushing attack is dominating. And I have Jordan Love with Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, and splash plays are type of happening. And then with the Rams, you basically I feel like I'd have to have Kyron, and I feel like I'd have to have Devontae Adams as just these guys score touchdowns. And this is the way that Puka, the thing is 6 for 80 probably gets there on this slate. Puka has to have under probably 13 to not be in that, optimal discussion, I guess. And this is just the type of slate where there's no clear alpha in any of the rooms. Ted is probably the one, I would say, but even then it's he had 2 targets in the first game. Ted had 2 targets. He did catch a 43-yard touchdown. We will not try to our last effort will be throwing the ball. We will not try to have Bryce Young do anything as a passer in this game, at least early on, and until we're absolutely forced to. And then with Green Bay, you have just this room where Christian Watson's probably the alpha, but Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, the rookie that doesn't do anything, all of a sudden he could get in there and get some stuff done. Rome Odunze entering into Chicago again is just a nuisance to this type of situation, where I like Luther Burden more because of this spot, but it's hard to just hammer it in when it's what if Rome is 100%? What if he just goes out there and Luther Burden reverts to this 50 to 60% route guy, and that's going to kill his value.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think that's the case, but it's definitely something you got to consider. If I have to predict one or the other, I think kind of from this moment on, Burden's the wide receiver 1 on that team, no matter how healthy Odunze is. That's kind of my thought process with it. But it absolutely could be the case where in his first game back, that does attack his route participation a little bit. He's not going that highly owned, and so I still think I want to get overboard on it. In our Sims tool here, we can see his optimal rate for Burden is about 35%, whereas his ownership's coming in at about 28%. Could be a little higher than that, but there are a lot of good options in that range with Burden, Coker, Dobbs, Watson. That's probably the strongest, the toughest part to choose from on this whole slate, I think. How would you rank those 4 guys?
I think Watson's my number 1 because of the man rates of the Chicago Bears. I don't think they have a corner that can actually cover him from like a long speed and just the way he's been able to win down the field. Burden's probably 2. Dobbs and Coker, I feel like, are the same in this regard, where it's like I could see them making a contested catch for a touchdown. I could see both of them, especially with the size of the Rams corners. Like the Panthers have 2 6'3", 6'4" receivers. The Rams don't have a corner that's over 5'11", I believe. And Emmanuel Forbes, he may be over 5'11" or whatever. He's 140 pounds. These two receivers are in their 220s. Jaden Reed, like, he gets touches. Like, I'm just not seeing the breaking of tackles and like that style of play working. It could work a little bit better maybe in the playoffs or so, but like he doesn't have a high ADOT. It's first game back with, Jordan Love into the lineup. How much is their chemistry really there, considering they may have played 2 games together so far? Stuff.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense as well. Any other like super long shot options at wide receiver you'd want to mention?
Taking stabs with the Rams guys, like Tutu Atwell, Kunta Mumfield, and Xavier Smith. I am fine with any of the 3. Like, you're playing Stafford. The Panthers are going to have everything be about Devontae Adams, Puka. The third piece is the piece that will make a big play, just creating something towards like, okay, like we messed up here. I think Tez Johnson made a big catch for the Buccaneers last week. Cade Otton was a massive piece to the Bucs passing game. And it's like, well, we were so keen in on Mike Evans and Chris Godwin that these types of guys ended up being the ones that made the plays.
I am putting one, I'm throwing one non-Puka team in, like I said, and I'm leaving 3,600 on the table in that no Puka team. But it has Kyron, it has Corum, it has Higbee, and it has Adams. And so it kind of works where it's like if Puka gets hurt, more volume to those guys, or even if it's just a random day where the Panthers manage to really shut him down and everybody else gets a little piece from the Rams, then I got that kind of build as well. I'm with you. Those cheap Rams guys are the ones that I'm taking shots on as well. Tutu Atwell, Mumfield, and Xavier Smith. I just kind of am rotating the same lineup, but with that 3 variation in a bunch of different spots in my 30 entries. And so I kind of feel like one of them is going to hit a long one today. One of them is going to hit a long one. And if that long one happens to get them into the end zone, they're going to end up optimal. If it's a 50-yard catch and they don't get into the end zone, still might end up optimal. Yeah. There's a chance, depending on the type of lineup you run. So I really like all 3 of those guys as potential cheapies today. Tight end is a really interesting spot on this slate because I think we're going to see, as is projected, a lot of ownership going to Colston Loveland.
Yep.
We had Higbee and Parkinson projected a little lower before. They have gone up. They're my 2 clear favorites. And I think I'd actually rather play Tremble than Loveland at that ownership as well. Tight ends just, and I understand that, like, in the chat was saying, like, hey, Loveland's the true wide receiver 1. Yes, in terms of targets, he is the first option in that offense right now. But Panthers have just been so locked into stopping opposing tight ends. And even when you're looking at the 6-game slate, the 3 chalkiest tight ends, maybe 3 of the 4, because I think Goddard is up there at like 2 or something. But Colston Loveland, George Kittle. Why can't I remember the other one off the top of my head? It's somebody tomorrow.
It's there's Kittle, there's Goddard, and Hunter Henry. I think it's Goddard. I think Goddard's the popular.
Goddard's one of them. But anyway, like, there's 3 I was looking at that I just don't have any interest in playing on the 6-game slate. One of them was Loveland. One of them is George Kittle. The other one, Brenton Strange. Against Buffalo. Yes. Like, those are maybe the 3 best teams in all of football at limiting opposing tight ends. And so I really want to load up on Kincaid. Sorry, I saw that somebody put that in the chat. On the 6-game slate and tomorrow, which we'll talk about, I'll be loading up on Kincaid then. But Kincaid and Knox in addition to Higbee and Parkinson. Those are my 4 guys for the 6-gamer. Higbee and Parkinson with no Terrence Ferguson are the guys that I really want to load up on today. I like them just straight up better than Colston Loveland. And I really don't think it's crazy to go Tommy Tremble as like a punt choice as well. I don't think it's crazy to go Davis Allen as a punt choice if you want to.
Yeah, the Rams run a lot of 3 tight end sets. It's what they love to do. They weren't able to get as many dropbacks from it. They actually ran the ball a lot from that type of personnel grouping against the Panthers the first time. It wasn't super effective. It like got the job done, but it wasn't anything crazy. When they choose to throw out of these sets, it's a nightmare for teams. They have no ability to defend it. I think Stafford's had over 200 or 150 passing yards from 13 personnel, which is 3 tight ends, in like 4 or 5 games this year. The Panthers haven't really seen it. I don't know how well we're going to be able to defend it. The Rams chose to run the ball against us the first time. We were able to stop it because we have a little bit of good safety, that tackle. Our safeties don't really cover all that well. So I think this time we'll see a little bit more passing from it. I love Parkinson today. I don't mind Higbee. But again, it's like when it comes to the Rams, the reason I say like I lean this way, but I'm fine with this is because I just see Stafford having 3 to 4 passing touchdowns. And it's like if you're open, Stafford gets you the ball. Like Kenny Golladay was a 13 touchdown receiver once upon a time with Matt Stafford out here. And yes, Puka is absolutely incredible. And Stafford trusts him. And it's like Stafford will trust Davis Allen. I think he caught I think against the Colts, Davis Allen had a random touchdown out of nowhere that made me like, dude, I played Devontae Adams, I played this, and you throw a touchdown to Davis Allen. Good news is on 2 game slates, I'm fine with playing the Davis Allen, the Tyler Higbee, Parkinson, because I don't have to try to jam in other great plays, especially on a tight end slate like this where Loveland isn't a tough matchup. I like Mitchell Evans over Tremble personally as a Panthers fan. He's just been so good, like at just little things throughout the year that he goes overlooked in the offense. He's going to be the guy that replaces Tremble next year, but he's been a good red zone piece for us. And then Luke Musgrave. This guy was, I feel like if this was last year and you told me this was his price on a 2 game slate and you didn't have Tucker Kraft, he would be probably 30-40% owned on this type of slate just because the name still had meaning. But since he hasn't been that good, he just gets absolutely no love. And I look at like the last 2 games, like 7 and 9, that would get there on this slate. So I'm surprised to see him come in under 10%.
Yeah, for me, it's just I like those Rams guys so much more. And then I think I even just like Treble straight up more. And it was like if I was playing 150 lineups, getting to some Jordan Love, I'd probably get to a little Musgrave, just not in the mega Ram stuff that I'm doing. I just put I hand built everything today. Like I didn't use any optimizers. I didn't use any sims. I just hand built all the lineups that I'm throwing in. And so I just put the CSV into lineup HQ just to see my percentages. 100% Devontae Adams, 97% Puka, 94% Stafford, 91% Jacobs, 79% Kyron, 64 Parkinson, 58 Higbee, 36 Corum. Those are all my highest owned players, except for Packers defenses in there too. I actually think I like the Bears defense better than the Packers defense, but maybe that's a trap that I'm just getting sucked into with the Packers being more expensive. So I just use the salary. Yeah. And I don't know how much ownership projections on a 2 game slate for defenses, how accurate it can be. But I'm just seeing the Packers at lower ownership than the Bears and going, all right, let's just spend that $300. Let's just do it. Because I think that's honestly a coin flip. Like defense is always a coin flip. But as we transition over to that spot, if you're doing a cash game, I think sure the Rams are there. But I think, play whoever you want. But how are you playing? How are you sorting out your defenses?
I prefer going to the Panthers, as crazy, even as high as I am on Stafford. I know how weird it sounds, but you are looking for Stafford to play with like any sort of, like playing from behind. And the key for the Panthers to get that type of, script is if the Panthers are giving you, some sort of resistance on defense. And our defense did pick 6 them. They did get a few fumbles. They did get a few sacks. And that's why it's like the $2,000 is fun to have. And obviously you just eliminate a lot of you eliminate so many lineups that play Puka Stafford with Panthers defense. And it's like a unique combination where if the Panthers get you 8, which would probably come on a pick 6. And the Rams fired their special teams coach. They're one of the worst special teams in football. It's like giving up a kick return for a touchdown, a punt return, just put Stafford back on the field. And on these types of slates, 1 touchdown usually gets you the defense that's in the money. And for this one, it's like, to me, the Panthers scream to be that defense.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. 2-game slate, it doesn't matter how many players we want to play against the defense. You can kind of just go with any of them in that spot. And all things considered, when you're looking at it, how is it, like you said, how is there a way of Stafford having to push the ball down the field if there's defensive touchdowns on the other side? 1, it gets him back on the field quicker. 2, it's going to force the Rams to want to score points and not just be able to sit on the ball. So really, really like that call from you there. I'm a big fan of the idea of getting in a Panthers defense lineup as well. I just put them in one of my lineups. I just switched things up, but I'm kind of wishing that I would have done more in hindsight, but that's okay. That's all right. I'm going way heavier on this 2-game slate than I should have. I don't know if it's like, hey, football's coming to an end and I want to have some fun before the season's gone. But I had a stand that I really wanted to take with these like super heavy, aggressive Rams lineups. And because of that, it just made me want to like keep building and keep building. And when you're hand building and you're not when you're doing optimizers and sims and stuff, right, you just reserve the contest in advance. So, like this is the exact entry fee I'm planning on playing today. I will build my stuff accordingly. When you're hand building, it's like, here's another idea, another team. Here's another idea, another team. Here's another idea, another team. And you just keep entering and entering and entering. It's dangerous. It's dangerous, but hopefully it'll go well. Who do you got as your slate breaker today? Who is breaking the slate? You can kind of go, I'll give you 2 paths to do it if you want. Give me either 1 chalky and 1 super low owned, or 1 expensive, 1 cheap.
I'll go with one guy that is a bit chalky. I'll say DeAndre Swift is a slate breaker here. Packers a little bit better at defending like more gap scheme than zone blocking schemes, and DeAndre Swift is a way better zone runner than Kyle Monangai. On top of it, the veteran just being able to pick up pass protection, I think Swift is going to be leaned on more in this particular game while Monangai gets his first taste of playoff football. And then the non-chalky one that I think is fun is Chuba Hubbard. I know that it's weird to play the backup running back on a 2-game slate, but I think the Panthers, if we run 40 plays in the first half, say 30 plays, that's way too much 40. We will run the ball 20 times. Like our rush rate is going to be astronomical, and our guys up front handled this Rams team the first time around. Wouldn't surprise me to see it happen again, especially with Robert Hunt coming back. And Chuba Hubbard was a big difference maker for us. He even had one of the touchdowns. I think he repeats that success and has a good day at 4,500. How about you, TJ?
I like that. I like those calls quite a bit. I didn't get to any Chuba personally, but I totally understand it. So no problems with me from that end. I will go. I think as my expensive piece, I will say Davante Adams, because now he's not that expensive, but 6,500 on this slate is fairly expensive. I have him in 100% of my lineup, so how can I not go with Davante Adams in this spot, because he's in every single lineup that I'm going to be playing. He's been practicing in full. I don't think that hamstring should bother him one bit. I don't think rust with a player like Davante Adams is going to be worrisome even a little bit. And I think we're going to see the return of the goal line touchdown king in this one. We're going to get 2 of those fades to Davante Adams tonight in the end zone. In terms of a cheapie, this is way off the board now for what it's worth. This is not somebody I'm going like heavy in. I'm playing him in 4 of my 30 lineups. So I'll be heavily overweight, but it's not like I'm going crazy. And that's Xavier Smith. He seems to be the one that they have designed a couple plays to, because he's just a fast guy every game. And that used to be Tutu Atwell. And I think it's Xavier Smith now. Mumpfield plays a little bit more than him. Mumpfield's a really good run blocker. I think Xavier Smith is going to be the guy that, even though he doesn't have a super high snap share, he's going to get some high value targets. And so he's someone in large field tournaments I think is really, really interesting. I was going to go Tyler Higbee just because he's one of my favorite plays and I'm getting to a ton of him. But Xavier Smith at super low ownership, I think is a really interesting play that I want to call out. If you got any questions, get them into the RotoGrinders live stream Discord chat. Get them into the YouTube chat. We will pull your questions from both. I'll go to the RotoGrinders live stream Discord first. I will go to the YouTube chat second. YouTube, all we ask is that you hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, of course, but hit the like button because we got to battle that YouTube algorithm. You know, it's out here trying to push us down, and we need some help to bring it up. Free content on a Saturday in the playoffs. Hit that like button. All right, let's see what we got for some tournaments. And looks like Discord's pretty dead, so I'm going to go straight to the YouTube chat because YouTube is popping while Discord is quite quiet today. I got a 3v3 for you. You ready?
Okay.
This is from Ethan. He says Nakua, Bears defense, and Swift, or Adams, Rams defense, and Jacobs.
Puka, Swift, and Bears defense.
Certainly the safer option. The second is just like if you're trying to get real crazy. Like the
Puka,
Puka,
it's like
the fading Puka thing is just like exclusively, I don't care if I lose money today. First or last. First or last, Ricky Bobby time. Would you consider Jordan Love in a DK cash setting, or am I getting too cute?
No, I'm not playing Love. He would rank last for me from a projection standpoint on this slate.
On the 2-game slate, and this is kind of weird, like a weird way to think about it, because there are more options on the 6-game slate, so you'd think that would push Jordan Love down the list. But I actually think he's in cash consideration on the 6-game slate and not the 2-game slate. The 2-game slate, you don't need salary, so you play Stafford in cash. Like no ifs, ands, or buts, you play Stafford in cash. 6-game slate where there's Christian McCaffrey and Puka Nacua and other players to spend up for, James Cook. I do think it is viable to maybe go the Love route because I think that's one of the only ways with one of those cheap quarterbacks that you could jam both Puka Nacua and Christian McCaffrey into a cash game lineup. And so I think it's fine there. 2-game slate, absolutely not. Is 4 Rams too many? Not enough. I would argue that's not enough. Rams on today's slate, so certainly not too many. What position are you playing most at your flex tonight? Are you going more 3 RBs, 4 wide receivers, or 2 tight ends?
3 RBs. There's too many good backfields, and in the playoffs in particular, running the football, you just elevates. It is just such a higher rate. In these 2-game slates, I think having 3 running backs is the way to go.
Would you be so kind as to talk about your favorite players at the flex position for the first game showdown slate in DK cash? No problem at all. I do think, like, I know you said just the flex because for cash, you just are playing Puka at the captain position. Maybe Stafford. I do think it is okay to play Stafford just because he is so much cheaper, but it's one of those 2 for sure. And whichever one you're not playing in captain, you're playing the other one at flex. Those are the 2 you absolutely have to build around. I think you probably want to get one of Devonta Adams or Kyren Williams. You can take your pick on that. It does leave you with not very much salary after that, but there are enough cheap plays with Tyler Higbee, with Colby Parkinson, even Davis Allen, Tommy Tremble. There are enough cheap plays that I still think you want to get 3 of those top Rams. So my preference would probably be Adams, but I have no problem at all if you want to go Kyren over Adams. Kyren does project better, so for cash, that's probably the play. So I would go big 3 from the Rams. Then you're looking at Higbee and Tremble as 2 really elite salary savers, and you can see how much you got left over to fill up that last spot. That's kind of how I would want to go about it. How about you?
That's a round. I think, I lean Parkinson over Higbee, but it's like, obviously, I think the price is a little bit different.
Yeah, just Higbee's $1,000 cheaper.
Yeah, I wouldn't like the kickers in this game.
No, agreed.
One, I don't like the kicker of the Rams at all, just because he's not very good. They've been, again, special teams issues. And then for the Panthers are going to go for it on fourth down. we are ultra aggressive. We actually have, I could be wrong, but I know we attempted the most fourth downs of any team this year. And I believe we have the most converted fourth downs in NFL history in a season.
That was so funny, actually, because that was another one of those things from that last Rams game that pissed me off when I'm stacking up Stafford, is they would stop them on the first 3 downs and then give up a long fourth down reception every time, or like a 3rd and 17. And I'm like, can we please get the Rams back on the field? And it was just the longest, most annoying drives. What do you think about Burden in a DK cash setting today?
Oh, he's fine. Burden, I think, is going to be playing a lot. I mentioned the risk for large field stuff just because it is, discussion. His role is different with Rome Odunze back. We're going to see what that role really is. I think that he should be fine in this game. And the Packers' corners are issues. Bo Mellon got hurt in the last game. They signed Trayvon Diggs. If Trayvon Diggs gets on the field for the Packers, the Bears are going his way.
Devonta Smith or Rico Dowdle, straight up.
Not
Devonta Smith. DeAndre Swift. Wow, that was weird.
Oh, Swift.
Yeah.
Swift is a better play than Dowdle. I'm in on the Panthers backfield because of the Rams and passing and just kind of how that operates. I mean, I don't think Stafford has a similar game to what he did against the Jaguars in London, I think it was, where he had 5 touchdowns and like 180 yards passing. I don't think that type of game plays out.
Is Puka the only captain you'd roster in DK Cash? We got lightning round now. Only a minute and a half left to lock.
Yes.
He's the top option. I'd maybe consider Stafford, but he is the top option. Favorite contrarian MVP for both games on FanDuel for the showdown slate? I would say Devonta Adams for the first one, and maybe a Christian Watson for the second one. Somebody who can catch some long touchdowns, and that would matter on FanDuel. Do you think Xavier Legette gets 1 catch?
No.
No catches for Xavier.
I don't think he plays that much.
We got some takes in chat. We got Slow Play saying Ted McMillan's getting 2 touchdowns. Butthole is saying Dowdle is getting 140 and a touchdown today. And people are on your Panthers, it seems. Stafford stack with Puka and Adams. Need one last piece. Would you go Reed, Parkinson, or Higbee?
Parkinson. Weird. You, Higbee, me, Parkinson. The tight end battle here is going to be a fun one. I can't wait because I do not disagree with you. I want Rams tight end. If I could play Rams tight end, I would. That would make life 100%. Easy.
$1,000 spot
Jimmy
for
Horn
showdown. Is it okay to use Jimmy Horn Jr. of that group? Yeah, that's the best. Like, it's between Jimmy Horn Jr., James Mitchell, and Ronnie Rivers. And so, yeah, I would say Jimmy Horn Jr. is the top option of that group. If he gets 1 catch, he is probably totally fine at that price tag. And that'll hit all the questions, and that has been locked. Nailed it. Perfect timing. I love when that happens. Jordan, before we get out of here, is there anything you're looking at from a late swap perspective? Who would you be looking to switch on to, say, you're not going to win with the lineup you currently have because everybody is going to have Christian Watson, Josh Jacobs, whoever it is in that last game? What swap would you be looking to make to get different?
I would take a stab at Luke Musgrave at tight end if you have your Love One lineup waiting and you're completely dead. I think he could have a big game for the Packers. And then at receiver, probably Romeo Dubes and honestly Rome Odunze. Both of them are coming in under 16%. Like, if I'm dead in the water and I can afford to go from Luther Burden to Rome Odunze, I would. And if I could go from Luther Bird, if I can't go there, I'd probably go Luther Burden to Dubes. Yeah,
I like the Burden to Dobbs call. Burden to Dobbs, because Burden's going to be probably twice as highly owned. So
yeah, I
do like the idea of making that switch. Maybe even say if you have Swift and the Packers defense, maybe switching that to Monangai and the Bears defense, where that is the situation where Monangai would be more involved, is if the Bears are leading, and the Bears are leading and they're just trying to keep it on the ground, give it to him a ton, because that kind of has been his role in that grinded out spot. That'll do it. Good luck today in all of your contests. We will be back in an hour and a half for an NBA show. Myself and Chief will be breaking down tonight's NBA slate. And then tomorrow, myself and Chief will be back again about an hour before the first game to talk about tomorrow's 3-game slate. So stay tuned for that one. Thank you to Jordan for hanging out with me today, chatting today about today's slate. Good luck in everybody's contest, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
See ya.